Running out onto the deserted street, he stopped to catch his breath. No one was behind him. In the window of the next house, across the road, a light was on. A warm, yellow, cozy light. The only one in the whole village. "I think he said right, not left," flashed through his head. But the light beckoned him like a beacon in a stormy sea. As soon as his breath calmed a little, the animal, primitive fear of the man with the axe receded, giving way to something deeper and more ancient, fear of the inexplicable, the irrational. Fear not of a predator's teeth, but of the trembling shadows on the walls of a cave, dancing for a primitive man by a dying fire. And then he saw those shadows. Through the window, in the light of a large incandescent bulb, a man in a stained undershirt sat on a kitchen stool. He sat motionless, staring into the emptiness before him. Seemingly nothing strange, just sitting in the kitchen. But something bothered Sasha again. Complete, absolute stillness. The man didn't move, didn't blink, didn't seem to breathe. Sasha, not understanding why himself, froze in place, staring into the window as if mesmerized. The bright light from the lamp falling onto the street was somewhat calming. "I think he said right, not left," Sasha tried to think, but his thoughts were tangled. If he was uncomfortable or embarrassed by his father, he could have just said goodbye and pointed the way. Why run and hide? The man in the window abruptly interrupted his thoughts. He bent over, his movement sharp and mechanical, and picked up a long, dark object from the floor. Sasha recognized it. It was a hunting rifle. His heart skipped a beat, and he instinctively flinched back, ready to bolt at any second, but his legs seemed rooted to the spot. He couldn't tear his eyes away from that warm, cozy window, behind which a silent performance was unfolding. The man, showing no emotion, brought the rifle barrel to his chin. He didn't look suicidal. He looked empty. Suddenly, slowly, he turned his head and stared directly at Sasha. Their eyes met through the glass. In the man's eyes, there was no madness, no despair, only emptiness, deep and bottomless, like this night. Sasha took a slow step back. He needed to run. This wouldn't end well. But some unknown force held him in place. He wanted to stay and watch how it would end. It was a creepy, masochistic curiosity. The man, without taking his empty gaze off Sasha, walked to the window. Slowly, with a characteristic rustle, he drew 2 yellow flower-patterned curtains on a string, covering only the lower half of the window. Another step back from Sasha. Now he could only see the brightly lit rectangle of the window and the dark silhouette behind the curtains. The man sat down on the stool. Sasha felt as if he himself had grown into the ground. He made no sound, didn't even breathe. All the sounds of the world disappeared. Time stopped. He stared at the window, hypnotized, knowing how it would end, but unable to look away. A dull, deafening shot tore through the night silence. The sound returned Sasha to reality, and he was surprised to find himself breathing rapidly, deeply, and intermittently, as after a long run. The silhouette behind the curtains disappeared, collapsing to the floor. But no light came on in any house. No dogs barked. No shouts or footsteps were heard. The village continued to sleep a dead sleep. Sasha was engulfed in an icy flame of horror. He turned and ran down the dark street as fast as he could, not choosing his path until ahead, at the end of the village, he saw a small house well lit by a street lamp. Presumably, this was the police station. Looking around, he ran to the door, knocked, and without waiting for an answer, stepped inside. "Good evening," he began, trying to put confidence in his voice, but it vanished immediately when he saw that besides the mustachioed constable, there was another man in the room. The very same man who had just blown his brains out in the kitchen. And in the constable's hands lay that very rifle. Sasha felt nauseous. He was sick from head to toe. The world swam before his eyes. "Huh, evening, it's night out," guffawed the constable. The captain, as Timoka had called him. "All right, the firing pin's probably broken. I'll take a look," the constable said dryly to the man. The man just nodded, silently shook his hand, and without looking at Sasha, left the station. As if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't been lying on the kitchen floor with his head blown apart a second ago. "Well, come in. Tell me, what business brings you out at this hour?" said the constable, leaning the rifle against the cabinet behind his back. Whether it was the coziness of this inconspicuous hut, with the smell of fried potatoes and something stony, or the sight of the first sane person in a long time, it calmed Sasha a little. He desperately tried to push everything he had just seen into the darkest corner of his mind. It smelled of a solution, a rational solution, a car, highway, city. He was ready to pay any money. "Well, don't just stand there. Have a seat." The constable invited him to a chair on the other side of the table. Sasha obediently sat down. "Want a sausage sandwich?" the constable asked. "You must be hungry." Sasha just shook his head. He had no appetite. He was afraid he'd vomit. "Your loss. Our sausage is famous. We make it ourselves. So, what can I do for you?" The constable took a hearty bite of his sandwich with a thick, fried slice of what looked like bologna and washed it down with strong tea. "I got on the wrong bus, ended up in the wrong place." "How's that?" "Just bought a ticket to Kuchanovo, arrived in Kuchanovo." He froze, stopped chewing, and stared at Sasha. Realizing he wasn't joking, he laughed so hard his fat face turned red. Seriously? Although the constable wasn't unpleasant, the laughter made Sasha sick. Been drinking? He asked, suddenly serious. What? Drinking, I said. No, I don't drink. Then how could you mess up so badly? Haven't slept in 2 days. Ah, working yourself to the bone, eh, city boy? The constable took a deep gulp of tea. Well, what do you want from me? I thought, with nowhere to go at this hour, maybe you could advise something. Timofey told me to come here. On these words, Sasha looked carefully into the constable's eyes, trying to catch any reaction to the ghost's name. Timofey Savelov, from the first house. But he didn't bat an eye. Ah, so you came with Timoka. Well, that's a smart thought. Don't have a car here. He paused and looked intently at Sasha. Got money? Yes. 10K, okay? 10,000? Sasha was ready for anything, but this was outright robbery. Well, what did you expect? You'll ride official vehicle. It needs to be driven back. No taxi from the city will come here, and there's no signal. Seems the city's close, but still the ass end of the world. No, you can, of course, spend the night in my holding cell, but I gather you don't want to linger. That was true. He didn't want to linger here even for 20,000. Agreed, was all he said. Well, good. Vovka, the senior lieutenant from the next village, should be here soon with vodka. We don't have our own store. You'll go with him. Good? Sasha nodded. Good, said the pleased captain, and took a sip of tea. So, why did the guy at the first house say Timofey died 5 years ago? The constable laughed again. Scared you, huh? Probably grabbed for his axe? That's Timoka's dad. Old senile nutjob. Says all sorts of things. Sasha felt calmer. This adequate, if cynical, conversation brought a grain of rationality into the insane world he'd stumbled into. He tried to cling to it, but something was clawing at his soul. The thought he was trying to hide was forcing its way out. Fine. Timofey's father was a senile nutjob. Fine, Timoka himself was an oddball. But the gunshot to the head in the kitchen, the man who had just been sitting here, alive and well, the rifle leaning against the cabinet, it didn't fit into any logical framework. He wanted to shout at the captain, "Let's go to the middle of the street, you'll see for yourself." But he was afraid they'd think he was crazy, and he stubbornly buried these thoughts, dug them deeper. The constable finished his tea and stood up to put the kettle on a portable hot plate. And at that moment, out of the corner of his eye, Sasha caught movement outside the window. Someone was looking into the house from the street. He didn't want to turn his head, he lacked the courage, but with his peripheral vision, he clearly saw a pale face staring right at him. The captain was muttering, pounding on the broken switch of the hot plate, and a drop of cold sweat slowly trickled down Sasha's temple. Finally, he gathered his courage and sharply turned his head to the window, and he screamed. Pressed against the glass was her face, his mother, pale, haggard from illness, but her eyes full of sorrow and something else he couldn't understand, were looking directly at him. "What's with you?" The constable turned, seeing Sasha's face white as a sheet. He didn't answer. He bolted from the chair and flew out into the street like a scolded cat. He ran around the house, clockwise, counterclockwise, peered into every dark corner, but there was no one, just the deserted street and the oppressive silence. Can hallucinations happen from just 2 days without sleep? He thought desperately. But he had slept on the bus. It couldn't be. With trembling hands, he went back inside the hut. The constable was gone, as if evaporated, just like Timoka had before. Sasha searched both rooms, no one. And then he smiled. For the first time that endless day. It wasn't a smile of joy. He couldn't understand its nature himself. It was a grimace born of a mixture of infinite horror and a strange sudden indifference turning into despair. On the table, next to 2 bottles of vodka and empty shot glasses, lay a Makarov pistol, the very one that had been in the captain's holster. Sasha knew what it was and how to use it. Twice a week, if he managed to leave work at the proper time, not the usual late hour, he went to the shooting range. It was his way of relieving stress. He picked up the pistol, cold, heavy. He clicked off the safety. There were 3 rounds in the magazine. He couldn't recall how he was already walking down the dark street, gripping the pistol. He didn't even try to hide it. To hell with this village, to hell with all its inhabitants. If necessary, he would walk at night through the forest, across fields, but he would leave this place. Would his hand shake if he had to use this weapon? He didn't ask himself that question. Perhaps he no longer felt anything. Fear had been replaced by a dull, apathetic acceptance. He calmly walked the entire length of the village. There were no lights in any of the houses. Only the full moon, like a huge blind eye, illuminated this God-forsaken backwater. When he reached the bus stop, he was shaking with anger and nervous tension. He looked with hatred at the metal rectangle with the black letters Kuchanovo. He spat and walked in the direction he had come from, to the city, to people, to normality. He walked for what seemed an eternity. After half an hour on the deserted highway, dim headlights appeared somewhere behind him. Finally, he turned, ready to hitchhike, and immediately shoved the pistol behind his belt under his jacket. But the vehicle didn't stop. The closer it got, the clearer its outlines became. It was the same red Icarus. It raced past without slowing, its ancient engine roaring into the night. "Bastard!" Sasha yelled after the departing wreck, and his cry was lost in the void. There he was, the bald asshole. Kicked him out into the night, didn't take his money, said last stop, and now the son of a bitch was driving back, empty. Furious, he ran after it. About a kilometer later, the Icarus did stop, picked up a dark, silent crowd of people from the roadside, and moved on. Frustrated, Sasha kicked a stone lying on the road. Swearing was useless. The bus disappeared from view. Sasha started walking along the highway again. Another half hour later, he was met by a thick, milky white fog. It thickened with incredible speed, enveloping everything. It became cold and damp. Shivering from the cold, he quickened his pace to warm up. And then, on the other side of the road, in the ditch, he saw it. It lay on its side, and nothing about it suggested life. No lights, no sounds. Yes, it was it, A240SN, the very same bus. Sasha approached. The tires were flat, the windshield a web of cracks. He peered inside through a large crack. The cabin was empty. No one. Having had his fill of these idiotic phantasmagorias, Sasha decided he'd had enough. He ran. He ran through the fog, not choosing a path, until, ahead, around a bend, a familiar shadow appeared. The stop. The red, dilapidated stop, and that cursed sign, Kuchanovo. Sasha screamed in helpless rage and ran back into the fog. But not having run even 100 meters, he saw the same stop ahead of him again, Kuchanovo. He darted to the side, into the field, trying to bypass it, but after several minutes of stubborn running over hummocks and wet grass, he came out to it again. Sasha laughed. His laugh was of the same nature as his smile in the constable's house. Thoughts raced like a hurricane in his head. Fragments of phrases, faces, images, kitchen, rifle, house, axe, pistol, bus, kitchen, rifle, house, axe, pistol, bus. He didn't notice how he was walking through the village again. His legs had carried him back to the first house. On the bench by the fence, in the same pose, sat Timocha. Seeing Sasha, he smirked. "Find the constable?" Sasha was smiling too, viciously, distortedly. "What is this place?" he asked, and his voice was hoarse. "Well, Kuchanovo," Timocha answered, perplexed. "No, you don't get it. What is this place?" Sasha pulled out the pistol and aimed it at Timocha. He stopped smiling. "Hey, Sonia, what are you doing?" "I'm not your Sonia," Sasha hissed. "Safety." With his thumb, he clicked the lever. "Trying to fuck with me, are you?" Timocha, slowly squirming, scooted backward along the bench. "What place, huh? Sanya, calm down." His voice trembled. He didn't notice the bench end, and he fell to the ground with a dull thud. "What is this place?" Sasha yelled hysterically. "Hammer!" He cocked the hammer. It would be easier to shoot now. A car braked sharply behind him, blinding his back with bright headlights. "Oh, city boy, where'd you run off to?" "I brought the car like I promised." Sasha recognized the constable's voice. "It shouldn't have taken the pistol," Timoka said quietly, so only Sasha could hear, sitting on the ground. Sasha slowly lowered the pistol and turned around. In front of him stood a police UAZ van. Out of it stepped the captain and another younger man, presumably Senior Lieutenant Vovka. Seeing the weapon in Sasha's hand, Vovka instantly drew his own Makarov. "Drop it!" he roared. "Drop it! On your knees!" Sasha just smiled his crazy smile. "Drop it!" "And what will happen?" Sasha asked almost in a whisper. "What will happen?" "Drop it!" Vovka yelled again. But Sasha didn't drop it. He tried to shoot. They say that in your last moment you see pictures of your whole life. Sasha saw nothing, only his mother, her face. But there was something wrong with her, too. When the back of his head hit the ground, he was already dead. A direct hit to the heart, no chance. He woke in hell, in the overturned, mangled bus. Everywhere was the smell of blood, gasoline, and fear. All around, moans, gurgles, crying. A wild pain pierced his body. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed, but its sound was fading, receding. Sasha clung to consciousness with all his might. Something told him, if he fell asleep, he would find himself back in that nightmare from which he had struggled so hard to awaken. Only when the light of city streetlights blinded him through the shattered glass did he plunge back into darkness, into the oblivion from which we come and to which we all return. The second time he woke was in a hospital, in a clean, bright ward. Sunlight blinded his eyes. This was the feeling he had so craved when he was running down the night highway. A nurse came over, changed his IV drip, and he fell asleep again, this time soundly, without nightmares. He woke because the room was dark, the dead of night. Through the window burst that same unnaturally bright light of the full moon. The door opened, and two men in civilian clothes entered. One of them, a heavy-set man with a stony face, slowly moved a chair to the bedside and sat down heavily, staring at Sasha with his drilling gaze. The gaze made him unbearably uncomfortable. "Are you an investigator?" Sasha finally asked, struggling to part his lips. "You could say that, Alexander," the investigator replied, and scratched the bridge of his nose. "What the fuck does that mean? You could say that," flashed through Sasha's mind. "I'm here about this," the investigator continued, poking a finger at his own chest, as if reading his thoughts. "Others will deal with your accident. I'm interested in who shot." All hope that Kuchanova had just been a near-death delirium crumbled in an instant. "So which one of them shot? The captain?" Sasha silently shook his head. "The senior lieutenant shot," the investigator said to his partner, and the other man left the room. "But I didn't take anything," Sasha whispered quietly, like a child. But the investigator laughed immediately. "How can you say you didn't take anything? Do you know how much a bullet for a Makarov pistol weighs? 6 grams. To be precise, 6.15 grams. You took 6 grams of lead with you, Sanya." Sasha's lips trembled. A treacherous tear rolled down his cheek. The soft hospital blanket suddenly began to prick him, as if to drive him out of this cozy refuge back into the night. "Don't blame yourself so much," the investigator said suddenly, good-naturedly, almost paternally. "I would have come for you anyway." On these words, the investigator pulled a strange curved knife from under his jacket. Sasha didn't have time to get a good look at it, and with quick, precise movements, as if working on an assembly line, began stabbing him in the stomach. The pain was fiery, tearing. When the investigator finished, wiped his bloody hands on the sheet, and headed for the door, tossing a farewell, "See you, Sanya," Sasha, with his last strength, pulled the IV from his vein. Bleeding, he crawled to the window. Down in the courtyard, the 2 investigators were getting into the UAZ. The UAZ with the broken driver's side window. Fake investigators, a fake UAZ. The hospital might have been real, and real investigators were probably on their way, but it was too late. Or was the hospital unreal too? The same thick, cold fog shrouded the courtyard. The killer investigator looked up straight into Sasha's eyes, smiled a wide, triumphant smile, and got into the car. Sasha, choking on blood, crawled to the door. He yanked it open and fell through. But behind it was not a hustling entrance of a village house. Turning around, he saw no ward. Behind his back was a kitchen and that same stool. The man, not noticing him, had just drawn the yellow flowered curtains on the string and, sighing heavily, sat down on the stool. He picked up the rifle from the floor. At that moment, Sasha felt nothing. No fear, no pain, no despair. All that remained of his soul had been burned to ashes. He was empty. He went outside and silently sat on the bench next to Timoka. The latter didn't even greet him, just silently offered him a hand-rolled cigarette. Sasha took it and drew deeply. It was the most delicious and the bitterest cigarette of his life. He understood a simple thing. Panic is the main enemy. When you're in a panic, you can't think. But now, his mind was clear and calm as never before. All that chaff, the boss, the plans, the deadlines, had been left somewhere behind in a past life. Those puzzle pieces that hadn't fit before now fell into place. There was no time here. Or rather, there was, but it was the wrong kind. If before, time could be imagined as drinks, Monday a glass of water, Tuesday, milk. Sunday, vodka. Then, here, you drink from the glass and taste water, then milk, then vodka, then milk again. That's why, having seen the suicide in the kitchen, he found him alive at the constable's. First, water, then milk, then again, water. While he was running to the constable, he was running into the past. So, when the bus crashed, he remained there bleeding out, and his mind was transported here. So the first bus really was going to Kochanovo, and after the accident, he got on another bus to Kuchanovo. And so, just now in the hospital, he had truly died. A shot rang out in the house's kitchen. Timoka didn't even blink. Sasha only flinched slightly, but didn't turn around. "You'll get used to it," Timoka said quietly. They sat in silence, staring into the night, and never once during the entire conversation looked at each other. "What if you don't take anything with you, with a rope or in water? You know." "Maybe the first time. After that, useless." Timoka put out his cigarette, stood up, and without saying goodbye, went into his house. Sasha was left alone, finishing his cigarette. Much had become clear to him. That was his job, analysis. He looked for patterns. What pattern could be found here? Time wasn't even a drink. It was a rubber band, compressing, stretching, and twisting. What was just today then became yesterday. Those were the rules, and Sasha was beginning to comprehend them. Timoka was already at his house. Some new frightened guy, clearly from the city, approached him and asked him something. Timoka, without answering, traditionally walked into the yard, leaving the poor wretch completely alone. The main problem of the local inhabitants was that they tried to escape by killing themselves. They didn't understand the plasticity of the rubber band. They remained on it, not trying to compress it, stretch it, or twist it. You had to be at that time and in that place where it all began, where you hadn't yet taken anything from here. The guy saw Sasha calmly smoking and ran to him as if to a last hope. "Excuse me, where's the constable here?" His voice trembled. Sasha, without looking at him, simply pointed a finger, silently, towards the end of the street. "Thanks," he nodded and walked on. "Hey you!" Sasha shouted after him, still staring into the void. The guy stopped. "Don't take anything from here," Sasha said, and took the last, longest drag. The most delicious cigarette in the very heart of the cursed backwater, in the darkness. And if his mother was somewhere here, she needed to be found. And he knew he would search by the new rules.